Hi, my name's Megan and I'm going to show you how to paint this cute little ghost today. This is part of a painting kit that I have on my website. Maybe you've gotten it from there, maybe you've picked it up from me at a market or a store. If not, no worries, you can paint this on your own canvas or your own paper or whatever, and I'll let you know everything that you need. If you do have the painting kit, it comes with everything that you need for this painting. So it's got a 4x4 canvas, an easel, the paintbrushes you need, the paint colors, and then it also comes with a palette. So what's not shown here are it also comes with written instructions. So, but if you don't have the kit, no worries, you can still follow along. And if you don't have this size canvas, you'll just have to scale up or down the painting to fit your canvas or your page. So we're gonna paint this little ghost friend. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know any questions you have in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. And of course, please subscribe for more painting videos, drawing tutorials, things like that. And thanks for being here, and let's get started. Here's everything that comes in the painting kit and what you'll need to get if you don't have the painting kit and you're just following the tutorial. So I have a 4x4 canvas, a palette, these two paintbrushes, a flat brush, and then a round brush, and then these colors of paint. So purple, orange, yellow, pink, black, and white. If you have the painting kit and you're painting, or even if you don't, you'll also need to grab a paper towel and a water cup. Here's what mine looks like. And I'm just gonna set them off over here to the side. And then we're going to just, we're gonna set the easel to the side also because it's really just for display. And we're gonna get started. Okay, we're gonna start by painting the ghost. And I opened the black and the white paint, and then I'm going to use my own little paint palette over here. It's well worn and we love her. So but you can use a paper plate, you can use the paint palette that came in the kit, you can use another one you have, that's fine. But we're going to start by painting the little ghosty first. Okay, so we're going to grab some white paint with our flat brush, and we're just going to do like an upside down N, a right side up N, an upside down U shape, just kind of like a curved shape like this. Okay, all right, see that there? Then we're just gonna fill it in with the white. Okay, you can kind of see it there. You see yeah. Gonna make sure we get it fully covered, and you don't have to worry about the bottom just yet because we're gonna make it kind of wavy. Okay, so once you get your shape like that, then we're gonna take some white paint and we're gonna come on the bottom and just do a wiggle, all right, from one side to the other. There you go, got the bottom of your ghost. Easy. So while this dries, we're gonna come in with the purple paint. We're gonna wait on the black because we're gonna use the black to do a little bit of shadowing, but not just yet. We're gonna go ahead and paint the background next with our purple paint. Okay, so clean your paintbrush off in your water cup, dab it on your paper towel, and you're ready to paint the purple. So what I like to do for a background is I get a little bit of the purple, but then I'm gonna grab some of the white and some of the black. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and put this paint in my palette so I can mix them up a little bit. So grab a little bit like that and I put it here. Okay, and then I'm gonna clean off my brush. I'm gonna do the same thing with the white. So with my clean brush, I'm gonna scoop out some of the white and just put it in one of the wells of my palette. This paint is all dry in my palette, even though it looks pretty messy. I kind of like letting it build up like this, and then I do one big satisfying clean. So we've got our purple here and our white here, and then I'm going to grab some of the pink also. So I'm going to clean my brush off and then grab the pink. So with my clean brush now, I'm going to scoop some of the pink out and just put it in a well in my palette. And now I can grab from over here. So I'm going to do a little bit of pink in the background. I'm going to go back and forth between the purple, add a little bit of white so that the background becomes kind of a mix of all of those colors, okay? You don't have to When your paint is over here on your palette, you don't have to clean off your brush between every stroke, because the point of this is to get blended colors. However, you wouldn't want to do that when they're in the cups, because then you would contaminate the whole color and you wouldn't want that. So we're just going to go through this, and I'm actually going to need to get a little bit more purple paint out of my well. So I'm going to clean my brush and grab it. So just to show you, I've got my water cup here. I swish it around like that. And then I take my paper towel and I just dab it on the paper towel. So now I'm going to scoop out some of the purple paint. And keep going. And we're doing downward strokes. And we're not fully blending it on the background. You can if you want to. You could add some black if you want to. It's really kind of up to you. I like the purple. I may add some black at the end. We're just outlining our ghost shape, and once you get to the bottom, you do shorter little strokes. Like that. Just kind of following the outline that you made. Grab some pink. It's gonna look kind of like, I want to say messy, but that's what we're going for. Not messy in a bad way. So just following the outline of our ghost. Now, if you turn your brush sideways, you'll get skinnier, thin lines that you can add on the sides if you'd like to, or you can keep your brush flat and wide and it'll make a wider paint stroke. Totally up to you. And once you get the background how you like it, we will move on. I'm going to add a little bit of black, so I cleaned off my brush and I'm going to scoop some black paint and put it in my palette. Just add a little bit of black to the background using the vertical paint stroke. I'm blending it in with the purple. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a background that has purple, pink, black, and white all kind of blended together, but you can still see some of those colors separately too. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is to go back to the ghost and add some details to the ghost. So I cleaned off my paintbrush and I'm going to dab it on my paper towel, and then we're going to do the ghost. So we're going to take a little bit of white paint and we're going to really smooth out the edges of the ghost. So if you went in the lines of your ghost with the background, this is the moment to fix that. I'm going to cover this little spot I made here, which isn't a big deal because that spot's going to be covered anyway. And then I'm going to mix my white with just a little bit of black to make some gray. Okay, can be messy, but we're going to do like a light gray. And we're going to add the light gray on the folds of where the kind of ruffly bottom of the ghost is. So we're going to go where the wave goes up, we're going to do a line of gray. Okay. And then we're just going to widen it out a little bit and then make it get thinner as it goes up, like that. Okay. And then we're going to clean off our brush and we're going to get more white paint. So I've got my white paint here and now I'm going to come in to the gray part and blend it out because I don't want it to be quite so bold. So I'm just coming on the side of it with my white and I'm blending it out. So I'm going to turn it so you can see since I'm right-handed. See how that softens it a little bit? We're going to do that to each one. And now you've got a ghost that you can see the little folds in her little dress or sheet. At this point, we need to make sure that the background is fully dry because we're going to paint the little pumpkin candy bucket in her hand. So we're going to paint it right in here. So we need to make sure that the purple and the white are both dry. So we're going to wait on that, or you can use a heat tool or a fan to dry it faster. Okay, mine's mostly dry, so now I'm going to take the same brush, the flat brush, and some orange paint, and I'm going to paint a sideways oval, almost a circle, but not quite, right on the side here. Like that. So while we let that dry, we're going to clean off our brush, and I'm actually going to switch to the round brush. And I'm going to grab some black paint and I'm going to paint a flashlight on this side. Okay, so you can stick your paintbrush just right into the black paint, and we're going to paint a rectangle kind of at the same level as the pumpkin. I'm going to paint a black rectangle and we're going to fill it in. And it's kind of at a little bit of an angle too. I'm going to grab some more black paint and I'm going to do the top of the flashlight, which is going to be a semicircle. And then just straight across. And we're going to fill it in. All right, so we've got a floating flashlight and a floating pumpkin, which we are gonna add an extra coat to, but we're gonna let it dry first. So now, actually I cleaned off my brush, but I didn't need to. We're gonna use the same brush and black paint, and we're gonna paint her eyes. So we're just gonna paint her eyes with 2 ovals, just kind of right next to each other. The way I like to paint ovals is to start at the top and then go to the bottom and then come back to the top and do the other side. We're gonna fill them in and then we're gonna even them out. So no big deal if you don't nail it on the first try. I didn't either, it's fine. And the thing is, if you mess up, the great thing about paint is you can just paint over it. So it's not that big of a deal. All right, so we've got one done. Now let's go back to that first one and fill it out a little bit more. So we're gonna fill it in. And then round it out a little bit more so that it's closer in size to the other eye. Perfect. All right, so there's our eyes. Now I am gonna clean off my black paintbrush, and then we're gonna move on to painting the bow on her head. So I've got my pink paint here already in my palette. So I'm gonna use that. We'll see if it's enough. I might need to grab more. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just grab more out and put it in my palette. And now the bow is gonna be kind of sideways on her head. And we're gonna do a square, kind of a rounded square. It could be a circle if you want to. And then we're gonna do 2 rounded triangles. So one on this side and one on the other side. There we go, that's the first coat of our bow. And now we'll let that dry. So now I'm gonna clean off my brush so we can move on to the next step. We're gonna let this dry because we need to do another coat on the orange for the pumpkin, and we need to add a little bit of detail to the bow, and then we're gonna paint her little hand holding the flashlight, so we need that to be dry too. So at this point, we're gonna let it dry. You can use like I said before, a fan, a heat tool, or a blow dryer if you would like to let it dry faster, or you can just let it sit and come back to it when it's dry. Okay, mine is mostly dry, so I'm gonna take some of my orange and I'm just gonna go over the side. It's really just the side that's over the purple that needs another coat, but we can do another coat over the whole thing. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. But we're just gonna add another coat to the orange. We're gonna need to let this dry. So once we finish here, I'm gonna switch paintbrushes again and go back to my round brush. So I'm gonna put this in my paint water, keep it wet, clean it off, and switch brushes. So I've got my round brush and we're just gonna grab some white paint because we're gonna paint her hand holding the flashlight. So we're gonna do like a W, but with an extra hump. She's just gonna have 3 fingers. So we're gonna go down, then up, down, then up, down, then up. And then we're gonna connect them all at the top. So she's holding her flashlight, and now I'm gonna clean off my brush and I'm gonna grab some more pink to do another layer on the bow. So grabbing some pink paint from my palette, I'm gonna add another layer. To the whole thing. And now I've cleaned off my brush, and I'm gonna blot it on my towel. And while this is wet, I'm gonna take some of my white paint from my palette, okay? Because I don't wanna keep dipping it back in here if it's dirty, because the pink paint is wet. And I'm gonna take my white paint, and I'm just gonna go along the top and the side a little bit, and the top of the middle part, just to define the bow a little bit more. Just sketchy kind of lines, just quick, short little lines, and they don't need to blend all the way. So once that part is done, I'm gonna get just a little more on the middle part here. Once that part is done, take your brush and put it in your water, clean it off. And now we're gonna grab our black paint from our palette, and we're gonna mix just a tiny bit of it with the pink, just such a small amount, just to make a slightly darker pink. And we're gonna come in and do the undersides. And just do a little bit of a shadow there. I need to get a little bit more black paint. Well, that was too much. Okay. And we're gonna do the creases between where the middle of the bow connects with the sides, and then just the underside again, okay? Just kind of like that. Not too crazy, not a lot. You don't even have to do this part if you don't want to. And once that's done, cleaning off the brush, and I'm gonna take my clean, dry brush and just blend it a little bit, because remember, all of this paint is wet. So you can blend it with a clean, dry brush with no paint on it, and it just kind of softens those lines a little bit. There we go. Got her bow done. Clean off your brush again. And now we're gonna grab some black paint, and we're gonna do the handle of the candy bucket. So the handle is just a curve. Starts on kind of the middle of one side and goes to the middle of the other. Like that. Okay, and now we're gonna let that dry, because we're gonna paint her hand holding that side. So I'm cleaning off my brush. I'm actually gonna switch to the flat brush now and grab a little bit of yellow paint, and I'm gonna put it in a well on my palette. I know my palette's messy. It's probably hard to see, sorry. But I like it like this. It gives it some character. And I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna grab a little bit of my paint water and wet this a little bit so that it's like really liquidy. And then I'm gonna take that super liquidy yellow paint, and I'm gonna paint flashlight beams. So I'm gonna start at the flashlight and go kind of at an angle from either side, and then fill it in between. Just like that. So when you make the paint super liquidy like that, it makes it even less opaque, so which means it's just more see-through, which gives it that kind of light look. At this point, we just need to let it dry, and then we're gonna add her hand holding the basket, and then we're gonna add a face on the basket, not the basket, on the bucket. Okay, it's mostly dry, so I'm gonna scoop out some of my yellow onto my palette. And then we're gonna do the face on the pumpkin bucket. So we're gonna do 2 triangles for eyes first, kind of toward the top. So right below the inside of the handle, just do 2 dots. And then we're gonna make triangles from those dots. So our dots are the corners, like that. And when you do it like this, it's easier to connect them. And there's one, and then you connect the dots on the other side. And remember, it's just paint. So if you need to go over it again, you can. Easy. So now we're gonna do the mouth, and the mouth is gonna be like a semicircle. So we're gonna do a curve under the eyes, just starting at the outside of the triangle on the left and going to the outside of the triangle on the right. We're gonna do 2 dots, and then we're gonna connect them with a curve. And then we're just gonna go straight across. I think I'd like to make mine a little bigger, so I'm just gonna go up a little bit from my corners. There you go. So now we'll clean off our brush, and we're gonna grab some white paint with our clean brush. So we clean it off, and then we dab it on our paper towel, and you can make sure it's clean by doing that. I'm gonna grab some white paint, and we're gonna do her hand on the bucket. So just like we did this other one, we're gonna do a curve, a curve, a curve, and then connect them all at the top. And then just fill it in. There we go. So we'll take our orange paint with just a little bit of black, just the smallest amount of black paint. I'll show you on my palette. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of orange. So I already have some black here. I'm just gonna mix it to darken up the orange a little bit. Okay, so it looks like that. We're gonna take that darker orange, and we're just gonna do a little semicircle between the 2 handles to show that there's an opening there. Like that. Now we're gonna clean off our brush. And just like we did with the bow, we're gonna take some of our white paint and black paint and just add a little bit of highlight and shadow. So we're gonna take the white paint and just do a little bit of highlight on the top of the side over here, and then the right side kind of in the middle. I'm gonna do just a small amount kind of on the rim of that opening we created. I'm gonna clean off my brush. And just like we did for the opening, I'm gonna grab some orange and some black and just darken that orange a little bit with a tiny amount of black. Even this might be too much. So I've got my orange here. Yeah, see, that is too much. Too dark. So I'm gonna clean off my brush so I don't contaminate my orange. Grab a little bit more with a clean brush and mix it in there. Now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna create a little bit of shadow on the bottom. Just follow the line of the bottom. You don't wanna go all the way up, just a little bit. And then we're gonna do, you know how pumpkins have like lines? We're gonna add those in with this darker color. I think that's enough. Doesn't need to be too much. I'm gonna take a little bit of my orange and blend out the white a little bit. On both sides. And there we go. So once you have the painting done, we're going to switch back to our other brush, the flat brush, and paint the edges of the canvas. So the canvas should be fully dry, except maybe the pumpkin bucket. So you don't have to worry about touching the sides. We're going to take some of our black paint, we're going to paint the edges. That way it looks finished and beautiful. It really is just dip your paintbrush in the paint and pull it down the edge. It's that easy. All right, one side done, and then you just keep going and do all three sides. For the last side, you can let the other three sides dry and then hold it. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. If you can balance it on your fingertips, you could do it like this, but I'm going to let the other three sides dry and then paint the bottom. Okay, once the other sides are dry, we'll finish up and paint, or finish up the final side by painting it black, and then we'll be done. And there's our finished ghosty. So now you want to clean your paintbrush off in your water. Make sure it's really clean. And since we're done painting, you could even run it under a faucet. Make sure it's really clean. You can dab it on your towel to make sure. See how no color comes off when I do that? And then you're going to store it outside of your water. So I've already cleaned off the small brush, but we're not going to leave it in the paintbrush because, I mean in the paint cup, because it'll get bent and weird. So we don't want that. So we're going to clean off our brushes, store them. You could paint another one on your own paper or your own canvas, or just use this paint. As long as you store it or close the little cups and store it, you know, with it being tightly sealed, it'll last fine and you'll be able to use this paint for other projects. So thanks for watching. Thank you for following along. Let me know what questions you have. If you share your paintings on social media, I'd love to see them. And be sure to subscribe for more painting tutorials and videos. And let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next.